halkani waa RTN.
Once again, welcome to the Talking Point. I'm Abdi Ahmed Abdullahi, live on RTN TV. My guest on Talking Point is none other than Esther Passaris, a fair lady who is gunning for the Nairobi women rep position. Welcome to RTN.
Thank you.
First things first, people really want to know, who is Esther Passaris as in your parentage?
Okay, my mother is half Dutch and half Kikuyu, and my father is a full Greek. So you could say I'm a cocktail, a mixture.
Okay. A mother of two. Tell me about Adopt a Light.
Well, Adopt a Light was, I'm a social entrepreneur. The first business I had was Sharper Images. We employed the deaf people. It was a tailoring company employing over 300 Kenyans, doing promotional material for Coca-Cola. We were the only licensed production house in Greater East Africa for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
But that it closed down after Eldoret Airport opened. People were bringing in T-shirts at such a low price, so we couldn't compete.
Okay.
And we closed shop. I then started Adopt a Light, again a social enterprise where you provide lighting, which is an essential item. It's a business that has a benefit. Like when I did Sharper Images, it employed deaf people. When I did Adopt a Light, we employed street families, and we also provided lighting. We reduced road carnage, we reduced crime. So I like to do business that actually helps the community. You can have a company like, for instance, EABL, that would have a CSR of maybe providing scholarships, all right? That's CSR. But when you have a business that actually provides a social service, that's a social entrepreneurship business.
Okay. Yeah. Light up East Africa when the sun sets in.
I know.
Yeah.
When the sun sets.
Yeah, when the sun sets. Yeah.
Yeah, lighting up when the sun. Yeah, that was our vision, to light up Kenya as the sun sets.
Okay.
Because you see, God provides the light from 6 to 6. So we were taking over after it became dark. So it was kind of beautiful to light up Kenya as the sun sets.
Okay.
We wanted to go through the whole of East Africa. We didn't take it ourselves to the Greater East Africa. Other people did. I mean, even the lighting towers that we've put up, a lot of countries within Greater East Africa are now doing them. I mean, they would call us even as far as West Africa and say, we're interested in the lighting, and I'd connect them with the suppliers in South Africa.
Okay. Walk us through 1 in a million.
Okay, 1 in a million, when I went into the slums for the first time, you know, I wasn't aware that people lived in such neglected standards. I won't say horrible, because it's not a nice way to live. It's the only thing available to them.
Okay.
You know, Mabati housing. Can you imagine with this heat and with the rains that we have? About a month ago, a family in Kibra were washed away with the night rain. Mother, children, everybody washed away. The river swelled up. The rain just took the entire family with kids. And basically, in the end, we were just searching for bodies. When it's really, really hot, even us in our stone houses, we feel the heat. Can you imagine if you're under Mabati? So people don't deserve to live with garbage everywhere, with no sewage, no good way of getting water, you know. So when I went into the slums and I saw the conditions under which people lived, I thought, we can do something as Kenyans. So I had this great idea of uniting 1 million Kenyans, 1,000 shillings, you and I, you know, middle class and upper middle class Kenyans, and the very wealthy, to basically support the poor people, building housing. The government had said they need 150,000 houses. I thought we could do it. But unfortunately, the government refused to register it. They thought, oh, she's in ODM, she's trying to raise money for Raila. And they didn't register it. They gave me such a lot of trouble. And at that time, we didn't have M-Pesa, you know. So right now, I'm rebranding the whole 1 in a million initiative into a different kind of name. Everywhere I go and talk to people, I say, save some money. But for me, it's not the people in the informal settlements that need to do this. Though if they are able to save 200 shillings a month, they can do it. All right, in 5 months, they can contribute their 1,000. And then you feel a sense of ownership. Every time I used to watch this program on Citizen, they had a program called Who Owns Kenya? They don't do it anymore. I think it got a lot of backlash. But basically, it was the same families that own Kenya. Kenya is owned by about 20 families. I want Kenya to be owned by you, me, and everybody else that's in the informal settlements. Yeah.
Esther Passaris, are you a fighter or a go-getter?
Neither. I'd like to think of myself as somebody who likes to stand for what is right. I cannot tell a lie. I don't know how to lie. In fact, sometimes when we go on campaigns and people say all those things and all those promises that they make, and I'm like, really? And I'm told, well, it's campaign, and I go, I would not. I cannot tell a lie. I think when, they say when you come into this world, you have a purpose. Everybody has a purpose, something that God has ordained for them to do. And I think everything that we do on this earth, it's to get to know God better, to basically secure eternal life. At least as a Christian, that's how I think. And I'd like to think that I love to stand for what is right, and because of the kind of person I am, I'm very kind-hearted. In fact, I used to have an American boyfriend, and in America, they have on the tombstone one word that defines you. So it could be if you were a sympathetic person, if you were a kind person, if you were an honest person, if you were a successful person, they just put this one word. And I always used to think about that, and what will this one word be that defines me? I think I'm very compassionate. Okay, I'm very caring and genuinely so. Because sometimes you can be compassionate just to show people. I get taken advantage a lot because when you come to me and tell me a really soap story, I will give everything, And for me, I don't like loaning money. I like just giving. Because I loan you something for a problem that you have, and then tomorrow you can't look at me, you avoid me, and we lose a friendship. So I always say to people, if you have a problem, let me see if I can help you, I help you, and we leave it at that. And then pay it forward, help someone else. So I'm a compassionate person, I'm an honest person. And that's why I lost the Adopt-a-Lite contract, because I couldn't go and make all those funny deals. I mean, you had town clerks and mayors asking for shares. And I was like, really? Unfortunately, the anti-corruption was not strong. Yeah.
Do you feel that it's strong now?
The anti-corruption?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Whatever was remaining in the anti-corruption, Jubilee just did away with it. I mean, anti-corruption was stronger before Jubilee came in. Jubilee is not interested in dealing with corruption. It's almost normal for them to overprice every project that they do. I think these guys are schooled in the old way of thinking, where you keep your subjects very poor, you drop a few shillings, they worship you, and then they basically vote you in. And that's the kind of system that we need to break, and the only person who can break that is Raila Amolo Odinga.
Madam Passaris, when did it sink in you that you can make a good politician?
I don't think I'm a good politician. I think I'm a good businesswoman, and I think I'm a caring person. Politician, in fact, even when they call me Mheshimiwa, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like all these titles. I think the best titles are for God. For me, I'm just Esther. I like Mama Ta, because I did bring in the light. They took the project for me. They took all the benefit of the financial benefit on that project. When I see streets lit and slums lit, I'm happy. Because life is not just about money. It's about what else has happened because of what you did. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to a point in time. Your mayoral bid.
Yeah, Uhuru Kenyatta didn't gazette my name. He said I owed the county government, at that time, the city council, some money.
Was that true?
Everybody owes the city council money. Even you owe them money right now. I think, unfortunately, we have let tribalism and partisan politics deny Kenyans good leaders. Because if I'll tell you what, 2 years ago, I went to see the Deputy President, William Ruto. After they started, I realized that we have this betting control outfit, and I don't see what they're doing socially for the people. So I went to see the Deputy President, and I said, look, I'd like to work with the government. I feel like I'm a wasted resource. And I said, the betting control is supposed to inject 30% of its proceeds to helping the poor people, building drug rehabilitation centers, building feeding centers, so many things we can do, and I'd like to head that. But of course, no, they wanted a Kikuyu who is able to sing. I mean, I'm Kikuyu, but I think they're very unforgiving for a woman who dares to branch to the other side. And it's something that they have to shed
What do you
off.
mean by the other side, Esther?
You see, like for me, I am with Raila.
Okay.
All right. And I have no apologies to make. For me, you know, there's this commercial running around right now with Uhuru Niwetu. I say, Raila Niwetu Pia.
Okay.
Yeah. So I cannot relate to tribalism. I am amongst the Kikuyus a lot. And I mean, and when I say the Kikuyus, I don't mean the minority, the poor people.
Okay.
I mean the very rich Kikuyus, the educated ones, you know, the ones that you would think would want to have a united Kenya, you know, where it's free for all to be empowered and to do well, you know. So I look at tribalism. The only way to break tribalism is if we dare to be on the other side. All right. I don't think Raila would make a horrible president because he's, about the Luos and the circumcision issues. All right. I don't think that's important, neither here nor there. I mean, even Jesus accommodated Prophet Isa.
But Esther, don't you think that the other side is also equally tribalistic? That's why you...
No, no, they're not. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why they are not.
Okay.
When Raila decided to say Kibaki Tosha, Kibaki won that election overwhelmingly with the Luo vote, with the Luya vote, with the Kamba vote. So for me, the Luos were not tribal at all.
Okay.
They were able to listen to Baba and go, all of them, flat out, to vote for Kibaki and to embrace him as the president. But then Kibaki does what they're going to do, did what they're going to do to Ruto in 2022, if, for instance, they win this election, all right? He didn't honor the MOU he had with Raila. Again, he went back to, it's only us. I feel the Kikuyus are an economic powerhouse, but they have to understand that Kenyans are coming up. In the olden days, you had most of the rich billionaires of this country being from the Kikuyu community. Today, you've got billionaires from all over. I mean, the guy who owns JTL Fiber and Kas FM, and I think he has an airline as well. I mean, he's a Kalenjin. He's doing legitimate, amazing business. We should understand that anybody can excel in business when given the right opportunity. All right? And for Kenya to thrive, for you to have consumers with purchasing power, you need to empower everybody. The bottom of the pyramid is not for one community. It's for all communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me flip this argument. No, let me flip this talk. Esther, how best do you think tribalism can be eradicated in this country?
I think, when I was looking at the polls recently, I was a bit disappointed. I mean, I was happy that in Western and in Luo Nyanza, the percentages were much high that would go to Jubilee. That means they were looking at whatever it was that they were happy with the government. Okay. All right? But when you looked at the percentage in Central that would vote for Raila, it was 5%. Rift Valley, I really pray that Isaac Ruto wins that seat. I mean, as a woman, obviously, and I really have a lot of respect for Joyce Laboso, but as NASA, the main reason for me wanting Isaac Ruto to win is so that you break this hold where one man holds a community. All right? Right now, when I look at Raila, it's not just the Luos who are going to put Raila into presidency. It's the entire country. Unfortunately, it will be very little of Central. And I'm praying that my Kikuyu's brothers and sisters get to understand that it's not when you vote for Raila, you don't hate Uhuru. Okay. You just want to end this rubbish that a Luo cannot lead. You know, I remember sitting down with a few of the leaders when we were deciding who's going to be the principal or who's the best candidate for NASA. And everybody was saying, if you want to win, you cannot have Raila. You cannot have Raila. Raila, as far as I'm concerned, and I said it to one or two principals, was the only person who was capable of taking out Jubilee.
Embakasi, your bid.
Well, they rigged me out, and that's why I understand where Raila is coming from when he says we need to make sure that we block all the loopholes, you know, because in Embakasi we had streams. in every stream they put the alphabet A to Z.
Okay.
And what happened, we didn't know this, okay? What happened is they had one guy, like for me, Passaris, I could have gone to stream 1, stream 2, stream 3 and voted. They had that ink that could be wiped out.
Okay.
It was so systematic, so well organized. And yeah, they loaded Waititu with 10,000 votes. And you know, Shebesh is right now in Jubilee. And she said it on TV quite a few times because she knew that they did rig me out. And unfortunately, at that time, Sonko was amongst my campaign team. And what he did is he was working for me and he was double dealing. He was working for me and for Waititu. And what he did is when I gave him the papers to serve Waititu, he comes back to me and says, oh, we can't find the process server. He's gone. And then, of course, the time period to serve the process server elapsed.
Okay.
And then later on, he said to me, oh, the process server died. And about 3 years ago, I went into Mayfair, and there was this guy taking photographs, and Sonko was there having tea with people. And I said to Sonko, I said, I know this guy. And I looked at him, and I remembered him. That was the process server who's supposed to be dead. You know, you kill a guy so that you can do wrong. Anyway, I mean, I forgave him because in politics, you don't have permanent enemies. And he owes me one. So I hope he's campaigning for me.
And there are some rumors to that effect. Can you confirm?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, Sonko's had issues with Shebesh, and I know Uhuru is saying, you know, work as a team. I think they were Team S, or what were they? They had a name for themselves. We're Team Kazi, because we intend to work for the people. But I know, you know, I know that if Sonko had his way, I would be the person he would want to be the woman representative. Okay. All right. He's had beef with Shebesh. Right now, maybe Jubilee is saying, you know, it's about party. It's about, and they're all schooled in the same way, you know. It's about party. It's about our candidate. It's not about the best candidate for the people. But I'm happy when I look at my numbers, when I look at the 61%. Okay. It's not just NASA. Okay. You know, so there's no more 6-piece. I think both leaders are going to be pretty surprised that the call for 6-piece might not work. You know, for us, NASA, we're a family of 5 parties. Okay. Yeah.
What changed your mind from being the CEO of Nairobi to gunning for the woman rep now?
Okay, so to be the CEO of Nairobi, you need to have a degree. When I went to see IABC earlier this year, they said my transcripts would be enough. Later on, they said, no, we need to actually have you completely graduated. Okay. So I wasn't completely graduated. The transcripts showing that I'd be graduating in September were not supposed to be enough. And of course, I'm Miss Controversies. So if something like that happens, it would be headlines and it would be embarrassing. Okay. And then you had Peter Kenneth, who was running on the other side. We came from the same party, and KNC, I was looked at as a spoiler. You have to understand, my husband is in Jubilee, all right? He's a Jubilee supporter. He supports me as well. I'm in NASA. I think it's been a very hard balancing act, but I think he's a mature person, and he realized that, you know, I want to be in NASA because of what my conviction is that is where I want to be, and that is where I feel I need to be, so that we can harmonize this country. Yeah.
Now, you're gunning for the woman rep in Nairobi. 17 constituencies, over 80 wards. Tell me about the campaign trail, home stretch.
First of all, it is really, really tough. I mean, the budget, I think I'm probably going to go down in history as having run the cheapest low budget campaign. Because, you know, when you think about it, I mean, for me, I think as a businesswoman, I mean, if I'm going to spend probably about 20 million by the time I'm done. But I've been riding on Baba and I've been riding on Kidero. Wherever they go, I go for the meetings. I ride on Ken Okoth and Tim Wanyonyi. They've been really nice. Most of the members of parliament have been really nice because I tell them, look, I don't have 300-400 million. And if I had 300-400 million, I'd rather put up orphanages or put up parks for the children to play or build some houses straight away. Not on campaigns. I mean, people want T-shirts, and I keep telling them, I can only do so many. I can't print enough posters to put them all over the county. So that's why I spend time like this. You know, I came out of the campaign. I was in Embakasi North this morning, but I came here and I've been doing a lot of media because I get to talk to a lot more people about what I can do. But I have the advantage that I'm Mamata. I did my dress, my choice. I've supported a lot of demonstrations for good causes.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's the campaign, eh?
No, this is the Vumbi, the Vumbi.
Yeah, it's part of the campaign, okay.
There's so much dust.
Okay.
The health bill of this country can be reduced drastically if we deal with the dust.
Okay.
And the only way to deal with the dust is if we grow grass and we grow trees and we basically tarmac our roads. And I intend to work with Kenyans to be able to take some of these contracts, because you see, there's this 1/3 to the youth and the women. So I'm putting the youth together and the women together because I'm hoping that we will be able to do some of these contracts and actually take them away from the cartels. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Esther, you become the woman rep. 2 things that you would want to do for Nairobians first.
Okay, first of all, as a woman, as a mother of a daughter, knowing that sanitary towels are really, really a big problem. In fact, I'm glad that I started talking about it, that I would push for the bill and the budgeting for sanitary towels to be provided. And then I noticed Uhuru recently signed it into law that sanitary towels will be provided for all the schools.
Okay.
You've got the woman rep currently, the incumbent, putting a few sanitary towels in a few schools. You know, for me, I think our constitution does not allow for discrimination of any community or any age group. So when you say we have free sanitary towels, it should be free for all and everywhere and available. So now that that's been turned into law, the next thing is to make sure that we know what is the demand. We make sure that the women are the producers. I don't want some rich businessmen now starting to import sanitary towels, making billions, and the government saying it's okay. We need to deal with corruption. You know, sometimes I wonder, why would anyone need so much money? Why would anyone want to live in a house that's worth 2 billion?
Sorry, I mean, you're a businesswoman and a successful one at that.
Yes.
And you're living in a country that is almost collapsing because of corruption. You want to tell me that you've never been corrupt?
No. Let me tell you what. Okay, so one day my driver calls me. He was on Muthangari Drive. My driver calls me and tells me, Mom, I've had an accident. So I was in town in another car and I said, okay, I'm coming. Okay, he said they were going to Muthangari police station.
Okay.
So as I was trying to head there, he calls me and he tells me, oh no, I've been released.
Okay.
I said, what do you mean you've been released? Oh, I just gave the cop something and he released me. So I said, which cop? He goes, one of the policemen. So I ended up going to the Kilimani. I think that's where they had the main police. I took my driver there and I said, I want to know the cop who took that money. All right. And I filed a complaint. And I didn't care that my driver would be charged and probably pay a fine. All right. I said to I think the OCPD, the overall in charge of the area, I said, if we allow this, all right, then what happens is if we allow this, then this is why we have road carnage. Because if my driver made a mistake, he should pay. Now, having said that, I was recently going to Bomet on road, and my driver was overspeeding, and the cop wanted to give us a ticket. And I told him, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to open a hospital, and I'm sorry that he was overspeeding. We didn't really realize that 115 was not allowed. And I was so impressed with the cops. The woman comes to me and she says, look, I'll give him a warning. What I wasn't impressed with was the fact that it took her so long to fumble around with all these papers and, you know, give him the warning. But I like that the police are now saying, we can give you a warning. We don't really have to take you straight away and charge you. I wish they would just put everything electronically so that you can pay your fine, you can receive your warning. It's all networked into a software system. So if you have 3 or 4 traffic offenses, you're blacklisted, you cannot drive. We can get there. But apparently nobody wants to get there. Some of this corruption is allowed because somebody at the top gets paid so much every single day. So it's like a commission kind of thing. So I'm a cop. You know that if I put you on this highway, you'll make 10,000 shillings. You bring me 8, you keep 2. Everybody's happy.
So do you imply a NASA government will reverse that?
Let me tell you something. Yes. And if they don't, I will resign if I'm elected.
Beautiful.
I want a government that delivers to the people. If we want to deal with corruption, we have to stop being corrupt. Okay? We cannot be corrupt. We have to see people jailed. All right? We have to see people pay the price. We have to do recoveries, okay, of assets that have been stolen, because this is what should have provided drugs in our hospitals, facilities that are well equipped, pay our doctors, pay our teachers, provide teachers to community-based schools, build houses for the poor, you know, low-cost housing, have shelters for those who are unemployed, devolve funds so that you have development. I was in Kisumu, and I was so impressed with the number of hotels that have come up, the number of buildings that have come up, industries. Devolution is Raila's baby.
Okay.
This is what he believes in. And Uhuru has been curtailing it, trying to say, we'll take Nairobi back to central government. No, devolution has to work. Devolved power is power to the people. It's jobs, it's opportunity. And we have to do away with corruption. You know, people say, oh, but Raila had a few counties and you know, these were the counties that were under ODM. Why didn't he deal with it? Raila is not the government. You watch Raila, if he became president, right, or when he becomes president, you know, when you pray, you say inshallah and you believe it.
Okay.
When he becomes president, I have a feeling that if you don't toe the rope and you don't do things right, you're out, because he's going to make sure that we deliver services. He wants to do this for 5 years. He wants to set the systems and the structures. And I'm sure that anti-corruption, the authority is going to be a very strong body.
Let's come back to your campaign trail. A few days, to the elections. Tell me about your feelings and your take on places like Majengo, Isli.
I think it's sad that, Isli has developed,
Okay.
all right? I wish there was a lot more planning, all right? We fail on planning, you know, because everything's coming up haphazard.
Okay.
A businessman decides to put a building. You know, when you're designing a city, the landscape has to be beautiful. I love Upper Hill. I think Upper Hill got it right. Okay, the roads are a bit of a problem, but they got it right. I feel it's not too late. We can develop all these areas. We need to negotiate with the people. I mean, the Nubians will have the title deeds for Kibra, and we need to talk to them about how do we invest. You know, how do we put up a tower? Nairobi cannot afford to have ground floor housing.
Okay.
We need to go skyscraper houses because the capital city is going to grow. In a few years, it will probably have 50 million people. Then what?
Esther, how do you relate to that Mama Mboga out there coming from your lofty house?
Okay, I always shop, I always buy things from Mama Boga. I hate that she has to sit on the roadside.
Okay.
I hate that we don't have cabs to walk. I hate that the children are playing near the road. Children need to play in playgrounds.
Okay.
All right? The mother needs to be able to take the child to a playground where somebody is employed with good social services skills to look after their child playing while the mother works. I don't want her working on the road. Now you have to understand, why do people hawk? Because they're after the customer. I feel that every market in this city has to be a housing estate on the top. The market has to be so high standard, right? That everybody that lives upstairs will shop in that market with everything available. You will not have hawkers because everybody who's trading in the market on the top have got 1,000 customers and they're catered for. And then we have to have markets where you can park your car, you can drive in. We can't always go to the shopping malls.
Okay.
We need to decentralize some of these things. Yeah.
Well, you're watching Talking Point on RTN live from our studios. Niko na Mamata. The other thing that you think is very important to do for women in Nairobi once you become, if you are elected?
When elected, let's be positive. I mean, the numbers, I hope the numbers don't lie. I'm 61%.
Okay. The other 2 or 3 things that you feel women need.
All right, so we have a manifesto.
Okay.
And the manifesto wants to deal with, it offers single mothers and widows some hope.
Okay.
And there's a lot of single mothers out there. Jobs for the 12 million unemployed youth of Nairobi. I'd like to make sure that we implement the manifesto almost immediately. Free secondary education, Baba says from October. September, October, free secondary
Is
education.
that practicable?
Yes, it is. You know, I was worried.
Prove it.
Listen, I was worried.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
can we afford this? And then I went and I sat with David Ndee, our chief economist, and he said to me, yes, Esther, and he showed me the figures and he showed me how it will work. Kenya is a very rich country.
Okay.
One of the things I'd also like to do is to put a bill where we basically widen the bracket for taxation. India, you find that in India, I think you have to be earning something over 40 or 50,000 per month for you to be taxed. I don't mind the NHIF, I don't mind the retirement benefit, but I think Nairobi's cost of living is so high. If somebody's earning 50,000, they should not be taxed. That 50,000 should go straight away to paying their housing, paying their university education. Not everybody can get help.
Okay.
You know, we need to make sure that people have the money that they earn to live, because they can't bury their dead. Do you know, every single day, the minute they know you're a Mheshimiwa, they want you to help them. And I'll tell you what, in the beginning I thought this was a dependency culture. And this is what we've managed to do since independence, to create dependency, to make people so poor that we need to always be there to be gods to them, you know?
Okay.
I mean, when I say gods, I mean little gods. I feel that we need to now move from dependency to interdependency and then independence. Once we get the citizens to be independent, then they will be able to make decisions on their leaders without the little handouts. Like right now, I mean, the incumbent for the last 2 weeks has been giving out post-dated checks to chamas, 100,000, 200,000, 50,000. And I'm thinking, IABC, hello, why is she giving checks from government 1 week to the election? Unga, you know, I called the IABC. I said, am I allowed to give unga? Because I could buy a pack of unga for 90 shillings. And they said, no, that will be considered bribery. But she's giving unga out. I saw the Jubilee guys are giving unga. Nobody's doing anything. I don't want to break the law. And I think it's really sad to give unga here and not there. You know, you can't give it to everybody, so why give it? And then also paying bursaries. The schools have just closed and you're paying bursary? I mean, bursary has to be structured. So, you know, there are ways and loopholes that we do things wrong. You know, yeah.
Madam Esther, in case Jubilee does not come back, in case Jubilee comes back, and you win as the woman rep Nairobi, how would you welcome that?
Okay, I haven't thought of that because I'm just so hopeful that Kenyans have suffered enough and they want change.
Okay.
And they want Baba. They want to see Baba's leadership. Because, I mean, freedom of press, devolution, Section 2A, you know, multi-party democracy, advocating against corruption. And it's time for him. It's time to heal the wounds between us hating and denying Raila. Raila's won this election more than once, and they've always denied him. And this time, you know, I mean, it's really sad. I mean, for me, somebody in Jubilee must be extremely bold, because, you know, Chris Msando did not die from a heart attack.
Okay, he was killed.
He was brutally murdered.
According to the words of Chebukati,
Yes.
he was tortured and brutally murdered.
Why would
What is your take on that?
Why would you torture a man who controls the ICT of the elections 1 week before the elections and kill him? What is it that he had? Or what is it that he knew? I mean, this is so brutal. It's almost like he had some information, he had some passwords that could allow some form of rigging. He had made a system that was foolproof. And, you know, I didn't know that he was related to Anyang Nyong's wife or Betty Buyo's wife. I saw this on the social media. I'm not even sure that that's true. I don't know. But if they're related. So I think here was a man who was determined to make sure. Not because he supports NASA, but he was determined to make sure that no loophole was left so that the election can be rigged. And he was a professional. And now you kill him. And you kill the woman that he was with. And so badly, and I have a feeling that whoever did this was so angered that he couldn't get this information. Now, I feel that this man is a hero. He probably died with the secret.
Okay, NASA guys are calling for foreign experts to fill in
I
history.
agree.
Okay.
I agree.
IABC is standing its ground. Do you expect some ugly scenes?
Let me tell you something. When the ICT boss dies in a brutal murder, and if Chebukati wants to run a free, fair and credible election, what's the big deal? Bring in an expert, an independent person. Come on. If you have a referee that's biased and you're having a match, bring in a foreign referee. Okay. Because who else can do this job? Because if they will not hire probably a tribe or a person that, and this is why I say we need to kill tribalism. They will not probably hire a Luo or a Luya or a Kamba because they'll think, oh, these guys will be friendly with NASA. So if they hire Kikuyu, then NASA will have an issue that you're hiring your own. So why not bring somebody neutral? Because after all, Chebukati has sworn that he wants to conduct a free and fair election. And this is why I don't understand why Chebukati, who is supposed to actually embrace anybody who makes a suggestion for a free, fair and credible election, whether Jubilee or NASA, he's supposed to want this because that's what he's sworn to do. Okay. But why is he resisting? Who's his loyalty to? Kenyan people who pay his salary?
Esther, do you think we're going to have a free, fair and credible election?
Well, based on my experience, one, I mean, my name was removed from the Gazette, Uhuru Gazette's, the names for the mayoral election on a Friday evening at 5 o'clock for an election on Monday. That wasn't fair, that wasn't free, and that wasn't credible. They rigged me out of Embakasi. That wasn't fair, free, and credible. I think in 2013, I lost fair and square because there was a lot of wave and I was in a very weak party. Right now, 2017, Chebukati, God, you know what? We're going to have a free, fair, and credible election, all right? In this sense. I keep telling everyone, you know, Muslims, you fast. You do the Ramadan. In the Christians, we have a fast called the Esther dry fast. She was a queen in the Bible. I don't know if you have Esther in the Quran. I've never come across it in the Quran. But okay. Esther liberated her people when they wanted to liberate them because they were basically held hostage. They wanted to be freed. Okay. What she did is she told the people, fast for 3 days, dry, only your saliva. So this is when we listened to Uhuru Kenyatta. He said meza mate. So basically for 3 days, that means you start Friday morning. I'm asking all the women, including the Muslim women, Friday morning, the whole of Friday basically, 24 hours, the whole of Saturday, 24 hours, and then half day Sunday up to lunchtime. Only your saliva. We listen to Uhuru, we'll meza mate for those 2.5 days, and we pray and we ask God to give us the leader that Kenyans will elect. And I believe that Kenyans will elect Raila Amolo Odinga.
Madam Esther, I mean, do you want to tell me that there is no 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can say, yeah, as a Kenyan, Jubilee has done this good? Okay,
let me tell you something. Jubilee gave us free maternity. And recently when I said that poor people should be given NHIF cards, again, Uhuru listened and said that, you know, we're going to give every mother that gives birth a free NHIF card for the first year. That was good, maternal health. But then when you have doctors going on strike for 5 months, all right, and people dying, do you know how many people died? Do we know what the cost of that? Do we even care? How many people died with the fact that the hospitals won't strike? Border borders have accidents every day. Where were they going? All right. I met a girl in Mathare who has a growth on her neck. Her mother for the last 6 years, has been trying to see a professional doctor. I actually took her in to see a doctor. Right? She had no NHIF card. I got the family an NHIF card. I'm waiting for her surgery to be scheduled. It's a really risky surgery. All I'm telling you is that they're disconnected. As long as you don't tackle corruption, you cannot serve people. So you've built the SGR. I still don't understand why SGR had to get new land We had a railway running all the way from Mombasa, right in the center of town, all the way to the center of town in Nairobi, all the way to Kisumu. Why did we need to have a new line?
Okay.
You know, why couldn't we just do it in the same line? What's happened to all that land that the railway owned? I mean, this whole thing, remember the railway moved to Trans-Century
Okay.
and then off again.
Okay.
I mean, corruption.
Briefly, Esther, if you're elected as a woman rep in Nairobi, this Muslim lady who is watching you, this Somali Kenyan lady who is watching you, much as you'd be representing the whole city, what do you have for them?
Okay, I mean, I remember once talking to a few Muslim ladies about how they get harassed, you know, how at that time I think there was a lot of issues on IDs not being given to genuine Muslims, them having a problem. When they were coming out and, you know, being treated differently.
Okay.
I think every Kenyan Muslim deserves to be protected. We need to respect, I mean, I grew up in Mombasa, so I understand a bit of the cultures of the Muslims. I think we need to respect their culture. We need to respect their needs as well. But they also need to be empowered. And I think, you know, the Muslims for me to serve the Muslim community, it's them to tell me what do they need. And, you know, I've seen, I mean, they need equal opportunity in jobs as well. They need to be able to be employed. The youth need to be able to get their IDs on time so that they can start earning gainful income.
Okay.
You know, so, and yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I will advocate for. Yeah.
Madam Esther Passaris, that's your camera. You get like 2 minutes. What is your message to Nairobians on Tuesday next week?
Okay, so I'm going to try this, okay? Anika Esther Mudhoni Rosanna Passaris, Fadlan E. Odea, Korsigo, Hawenka, Nairobi. Hawenka, Nairobi.
Well, that was Esther M. Passaris, who is gunning for Woman Rep Nairobi. She was my guest on Talking Point. Keep it RTN.
halkani waa RTN